Questions put by members to ministers. The honourable member for Dartmouth East.
Surprise, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Commission on Inclusion released its report. This is a thorough and crucial report, but my concern is that it's on the heels of a much more contentious report commissioned by this government. The Glaze report set education administration in this province down an uncertain path, with unknown long-term impacts for students. The Minister of Education has called for a flexible approach to the implementation of the inclusion recommendations. With a promise to spend $15 million in a flexible manner, I fear the government is moving forward with no real implementation plan. My question to the Minister of Education is this. Without any idea as to how the money will be spent, how did the minister land upon the figure of $15 million for his flexible implementation?
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the question. In fact, the $15 million is in line with the recommendation for funding that the Commission provided us. Those dollars will be intended to put more resources into the classroom, primarily specialist supports for behavioral challenges, for health challenges, Mr. Speaker. The reason why I say we need to be flexible is because the targets that the Commission has outlined for September will be difficult to achieve because those specialists currently aren't in the system and we currently don't have enough trained, so we do have to work with our BED providers to make sure that we are producing enough graduates to meet the needs of the system. Thank you.
The honourable member for Dartmouth East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the minister's response, and I know we can all agree that the report is a huge piece of work, but it's hard to understand how the funding commitment will translate in the classroom. Now we have a newly empowered Department of Education tasked with a vast overhaul of the inclusion model in a very short period of time, Mr. Speaker. The government has not yet indicated where the $15 million allocated for recommendations will be specifically spent. Will the minister commit to this House today that every dollar of the $15 million will go into the classrooms of Nova Scotia? Thank you,
the Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Our intention as a government is to follow through on the broad objectives of the Inclusion Commission's report, Mr. Speaker. The reason why flexibility is required is because there's recommendations in there that impact collective agreements. We do need to have willing partners and cooperators in the Nova Scotia Teachers Union to help us implement, for example, the recommendation on professional development, on speech pathologists, on psychologists, and their ability to enter into the system to provide these supports for students, Mr. Speaker. So we do need to be flexible because these are specific things that actually do require cooperation, Mr. Speaker. But we are committed, and I'm very excited for the future of education in this province and the supports that are going to be there for our students and teachers. Thank you.